You got everything you said you wanted. The promotion came through. The relationship finally stabilized. Your body looks the way you spent years trying to make it look. The validation arrived. The achievement unlocked. The goal you circled on your vision board 3 years ago, you're living inside it right now. And the morning after the celebration, you wake up with a feeling you can't name. Not depression, exactly. Not disappointment. Something quieter and more disturbing. A hollow echo where fulfillment was supposed to bloom. You lie there thinking, is this it? The question whispers somewhere in your chest, but you can't say it out loud because everyone's watching. Everyone's performing their satisfaction, posting their wins, celebrating their arrivals. So you smile. You post your own celebration. You pretend the achievement filled the void like it was supposed to. But it didn't. And somewhere deeper, in that place where truth lives untouched by performance, you already knew it wouldn't. You knew it the moment you crossed the finish line and felt nothing. You knew it when the applause faded and the silence returned. You knew it when you checked your bank account, your relationship status, your reflection in the mirror, and still felt the same emptiness you've been running from for years. Here's what no one tells you. This isn't a personal failing. This isn't because you're broken or ungrateful or psychologically damaged. This is a design feature of the human nervous system that Jung spent decades trying to decode. And what he discovered changes everything about how you pursue satisfaction. Jung called this phenomenon the neurosis of the successful. His wealthiest patients, his most accomplished clients, the people who had everything society promised would make them happy. They sat in his office, utterly empty. Not because they were depressed, because they had finally arrived at the destination and discovered there was nothing there. The promised land was a desert. Jung wrote in his private notes, "The greatest burden a child must bear is the unlived life of the parents." But what he discovered was even more devastating. The greatest burden you must bear is your own unlived life, the one you sacrificed in pursuit of achievements that were never yours to begin with. Tonight, we're going to decode why nothing feels like enough. Why your nervous system is designed for perpetual dissatisfaction. Why satisfaction became impossible in the modern world. And most importantly, how to develop the capacity for satisfaction that Jung discovered in his rarest patients. The ones who learned to feel full in a world designed to keep them hungry. But I'm warning you, once you see this pattern, you can't unsee it. You'll recognize it in every achievement that didn't satisfy you, every goal that felt hollow the moment you reached it, every success that left you asking, now what? Ready to understand why nothing feels like enough? Jung documented 5 distinct patterns of dissatisfaction in his most successful patients. 5 different ways people chase satisfaction in the wrong direction. Understanding which pattern is yours is the first step toward breaking free. The first form is what Jung called the achievement addiction. You only feel alive while pursuing. The chase gives you energy, purpose, clarity. You know exactly who you are when you're climbing towards something. But the moment you arrive, numbness crashes over you like a wave. The promotion you worked 3 years to earn, you enjoyed it for approximately 48 hours before your brain started scanning for the next target. Here's what's happening in your nervous system. Your brain releases dopamine during anticipation, not achievement. The wanting is the reward, not the having. Evolution designed you this way because your ancestors who kept pursuing resources survived longer than those who settled into satisfaction. But now you're trapped. Your identity is built around becoming, not being. You're addicted to the pursuit itself, which means satisfaction is structurally impossible. You're chasing a feeling that only exists in the chase. The second form Jung identified is the comparison prison. Your satisfaction is never absolute. It's always relative. You got the promotion, but your colleague got a bigger one. You lost 20 pounds, but your friend lost 30. You bought the house, but theirs is in a better neighborhood. Someone else's win makes your win feel smaller. You're trapped in an infinite game you cannot win because the goalposts move every time someone else succeeds. Jung understood this as a fundamental misunderstanding of how satisfaction works. Real satisfaction is intrinsic, but you've been conditioned to measure everything against external standards. You don't ask, does this fulfill me? You ask, does this impress them? And the answer is never enough, because there's always someone with more, doing better, achieving faster. You're playing a zero-sum game in your mind, where everyone's success is your failure. The third form of hunger, Jung documented, is the validation addiction. You got what you wanted, but it's never enough because you need them to see it. The achievement only counts if it's witnessed, acknowledged, celebrated by others. So you chase increasingly visible victories, bigger titles, more followers, louder successes. But here's the trap. The applause fades every time. And when it does, so does the feeling. Jung wrote, "The shoe that fits one person pinches another." You've been trying to feel satisfied by wearing shoes that were never designed for your feet. You've been seeking validation from people who can never give you what you actually need, because what you actually need is your own approval. But you've outsourced your sense of worth for so long, you don't even know what your own approval feels like anymore. The fourth form, Jung called the nostalgic paradox. You achieved the goal, but you mourn who you had to become to get there. You climbed the mountain, but you sacrificed your relationships on the way up. You built the business, but you destroyed your health building it. You got the body, but you developed an eating disorder maintaining it. You succeeded at the goal, but you hate the person you became in pursuit of it. Jung understood this as shadow sacrifice. You rejected parts of yourself to become acceptable, achievable, successful. You buried your authenticity to fit the mold. And now you're standing at the peak, realizing you traded your soul for a summit that doesn't even matter to you. You're rich, but hollow. Accomplished, but empty. Successful by every external measure, and dying inside by every internal one. The fifth form of hunger, Jung documented, is the most devastating. The purpose starvation. You checked all the boxes society gave you. You got the degree, the job, the partner, the house, the retirement plan. You did everything right. You followed every rule. You succeeded at the script, and you feel absolutely nothing because they were never your boxes to check. You succeeded at the wrong life. You achieved someone else's dream and called it yours. Jung wrote, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. But you've spent your entire life becoming who you thought you should be. You optimized for external approval instead of internal alignment. And now you're standing in a life that looks perfect from the outside and feels empty from the inside. Because satisfaction doesn't come from checking society's boxes. It comes from honoring your own nature. And you buried that nature so long ago, you don't even remember what it wanted. Comment if you recognize yourself in one of these patterns. Which form of hunger is yours? Here's what Jung discovered that psychology is still catching up to. Your nervous system is designed to be dissatisfied. Not because you're broken, because dissatisfaction kept your ancestors alive long enough to reproduce. The human who felt satisfied with yesterday's meal didn't hunt for tomorrow's. The human who felt content with their current shelter didn't prepare for winter. The satisfied human died. The dissatisfied human survived. But now you're living in a world of abundance with a brain designed for scarcity. You're operating survival software in an environment it was never designed for. And the result is psychological torture disguised as ambition. Jung called this phenomenon hedonic adaptation. Your brain recalibrates constantly. Yesterday's luxury becomes today's baseline. You remember when getting this apartment felt like winning the lottery? Now it's just where you sleep. You remember when this salary felt impossible? Now it barely covers what you consider necessities. You remember when this relationship felt like everything? Now it's the background noise of your life. Your nervous system adapts to every positive change within weeks, sometimes days. The promotion that consumed your thoughts for months? Your brain processes it as neutral within 2 weeks. The body you worked years to build? Your brain stops registering it as special within weeks of achieving it. You're on a hedonic treadmill, running faster and faster, just to feel the same level of mild satisfaction. But here's what makes it even more insidious. The target keeps moving. You thought you wanted the promotion. You got it. Now you want the next one. You thought you wanted the relationship. You got it. Now you want it to be different. You thought you wanted the body. You got it. Now you want it better. Because wanting is safer than having. Nietzsche understood something that Jung documented clinically. Man would rather will nothing than not will at all. Your brain needs a target. Remove the target, and existential dread floods in. So the moment you achieve one goal, your brain immediately generates another. Not because you're ambitious, because you're terrified of the emptiness that arrives when there's nothing left to want. And here's the deepest mechanism Jung identified. You've been performing success so long, you forgot to actually experience it. Your life has become one continuous audition. You're not living, you're curating. Every achievement is content for the highlight reel. Every experience is evaluated for its Instagram potential. Every moment is assessed for how it will look. When you tell the story later, you're experiencing your life in third person, watching yourself live instead of actually living. And satisfaction requires first-person presence. It requires actually being here, in your body, in this moment, feeling what's actually happening instead of narrating it for an invisible audience. Jung wrote, "The sole purpose of human existence is to kindle a light in the darkness of mere being. But you've been so busy accumulating proof of your worth. You forgot to simply be. You've been collecting evidence of a life well lived instead of actually living it. And that's why nothing feels like enough, because you're not actually present for any of it. Your great-grandfather felt satisfied with a good harvest. Your grandmother felt satisfied with a clean house and healthy children. Your parents felt satisfied with a stable job and a paid-off mortgage. You feel dissatisfied with a six-figure income, a beautiful apartment, and a life most humans throughout history would consider unimaginable luxury. This isn't because humans are getting greedier. This is because the measuring stick changed. And Jung never got to see how bad it would become because social media didn't exist. But if he were alive today, he would recognize it immediately as the most devastating amplification of comparison psychology in human history. You're not comparing yourself to your neighbor anymore. You're comparing yourself to the curated highlight reel of 1 billion people. Your brain sees someone's vacation photos and processes it as they have a better life than you. Your brain sees someone's promotion announcement and translates it as you're falling behind. Your brain sees someone's relationship posts and decides your relationship isn't good enough. But here's what your brain doesn't register. You're comparing your behind the scenes to everyone else's highlight reel. You're comparing your full reality, including the bad days, the doubts, the moments of emptiness, to their carefully edited performance. It's not a fair comparison. It was never meant to be a comparison at all. Jung understood something profound about the collective unconscious. We're all connected to shared psychological patterns, but the modern collective unconscious includes artificial abundance. Your psyche is drowning in comparison, data it was never designed to process. Every scroll reinforces the message: you're not enough. They have more. You're falling behind. Move faster. Achieve more. Optimize better. And here's what makes it particularly insidious. The comparison isn't just about material things anymore. It's about emotional states. People perform happiness online. They perform satisfaction, fulfillment, peace. So now you're comparing your internal experience to their performed experience. You feel empty, and they look full. You feel dissatisfied, and they look content. You feel like you're failing at being human. But Jung would tell you, they feel empty too. They're just performing better. The performance of satisfaction has become so sophisticated that most people can no longer tell the difference between actually feeling satisfied and successfully performing it. They've convinced themselves that if they look satisfied to others, they should feel satisfied to themselves. The measuring stick didn't just move, it multiplied. You're not measuring yourself against one standard anymore. You're measuring yourself against infinite standards simultaneously. And satisfaction is impossible under those conditions. You could achieve everything, and it still wouldn't be enough, because someone, somewhere, has achieved more. The comparison engine never shuts off. Here's what Jung discovered in his rarest patients: the ones who actually felt satisfied, despite living in the same dissatisfaction-inducing world as everyone else. Satisfaction isn't something you achieve. It's something you practice. It's not a destination. It's a capacity, a skill you develop through repeated, conscious choice. The people who feel satisfied aren't more accomplished than you. They're not more fortunate or blessed or genetically advantaged. They've simply developed the ability to be present with what is, instead of constantly reaching for what's next. And Jung documented the specific practices that create this capacity. The first practice Jung identified is conscious arrival. Most people cross the finish line without stopping. They achieve the goal and immediately scan for the next target. Their brain never gets the signal that success occurred. So Jung taught his patients to actually stop when they reached their goals, to consciously acknowledge, I arrived. This thing I said I wanted. I have it now. This sounds simple, but it's revolutionary. You spend months or years working towards something, and you give yourself approximately 5 minutes to acknowledge you got it before moving on. Your brain never processes the achievement as real, so the satisfaction signal never fires. Conscious arrival means pausing long enough to let your nervous system register that the thing you wanted actually happened. The second practice Jung discovered is what modern neuroscience now confirms. Gratitude isn't toxic positivity. It's a neurological tool. Your brain has 2 modes, seeking and savoring. Most people spend 98% of their time in seeking mode, scanning for problems, threats, inadequacies, things that need fixing. Satisfaction lives in savoring mode, the conscious choice to notice what's actually working, what's actually here, what's actually good. But here's the crucial distinction Jung made. This isn't about pretending everything is perfect. It's not about bypassing pain or struggle or the genuine challenges of being human. It's about balance. You can acknowledge what needs work while also acknowledging what's working. You can hold both. And the people who feel satisfied have trained themselves to spend equal time in both modes instead of only scanning for inadequacy. The third practice Jung called extending the positive. Your brain is designed to scan past positive experiences quickly and fixate on negative ones. This kept your ancestors alive. Noticing the one thing that could kill them was more important than appreciating the 99 things going well. But now, this creates a reality where negative experiences feel long and significant, while positive experiences feel brief and forgettable. Jung taught his patients to consciously extend positive experiences. When something good happens, pause, notice it, feel it, let it land in your body. Describe it to yourself in detail. This isn't forced positivity. It's neural retraining. You're teaching your brain that positive experiences deserve attention too. That satisfaction is worth noticing, not just rushing past on the way to the next problem. The fourth practice Jung identified is the most challenging. Identity shift. From pursuer to inhabitor. From becoming to being. Most people build their entire identity around the chase. I'm someone who's building something. I'm someone who's going somewhere. I'm someone who's becoming. And that identity requires perpetual dissatisfaction to maintain itself. Jung understood that real satisfaction requires letting go of the pursuer identity, not letting go of growth or ambition, but letting go of the addiction to becoming that prevents you from ever simply being. The people who feel satisfied can pursue goals without making pursuit their entire identity. They can want things while also being okay with what is. They hold the paradox that Jung said was essential to psychological maturity. Jung wrote, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Not to get more, to be more. Not to accumulate more achievements, to develop more capacity. Not to prove your worth through external validation, to discover your worth through internal integration." And here's the final insight Jung offered. When you stop chasing satisfaction, it finds you. Not because the universe rewards you, but because satisfaction was never in the achievement. It was in your relationship with the present moment. and you've been too busy chasing the future to notice. Here's the transformation. Jung documented in the patients who developed the capacity for satisfaction. They didn't become less ambitious. They didn't stop pursuing goals, or stop growing, or stop wanting more from life. They became something far more dangerous. They became people who could pursue without being enslaved to the pursuit. People who could want without needing. People who could achieve without requiring achievement for their sense of worth. The dissatisfied person is controllable. Give them a promotion, and they'll work harder for the next one. Give them recognition, and they'll perform for more. Give them success, and they'll chase bigger success. Their entire nervous system is hijacked by not yet. They're always hungry, always chasing, always one achievement away from finally feeling okay. The satisfied person is uncontrollable, not because they're passive or unmotivated, because their sense of worth doesn't depend on external achievement. You can't manipulate them with the promise of more, because they already feel full. They pursue goals because they want to, not because they need to. They create because it's meaningful, not because they're trying to prove something. They're playing a completely different game. And here's what changes when you develop the capacity for satisfaction. You stop performing your life for invisible judges. Every decision you've made for the last decade, who were you performing for? Your parents? Your peers? Some imagined future version of yourself who finally approves of present you? The satisfied person isn't performing. They're living. They're making choices based on what actually aligns with who they are, not what impresses the audience. You start choosing goals that align with your nature instead of goals that look good on paper. The dissatisfied person chases society's definition of success and wonders why achievement feels hollow. The satisfied person gets clear on what they actually want, what actually matters to them, what would make their life feel meaningful, regardless of external approval. And then they move toward that, not because it's impressive, because it's true. You can celebrate other people's wins because your satisfaction isn't comparative. When someone else succeeds, the dissatisfied person feels threatened. Their win means I'm losing. The satisfied person feels genuine joy because they're not playing a zero-sum game anymore. Someone else having something doesn't mean you can't have it too. Someone else succeeding doesn't make your success less real. You're finally free from the comparison prison. You become someone who actually experiences their life instead of curating it. The dissatisfied person lives in third person, constantly narrating their experience for an imagined audience. This will make a good story. This will look impressive. This will prove I'm living well. The satisfied person lives in first person. They're here. They're present. They're actually experiencing what's happening instead of performing it. Jung called this integration. The ability to hold the paradox that you can want more while being okay with what is. That you can pursue growth without making growth your entire identity. That you can be ambitious without being enslaved to ambition. That you can achieve without needing achievement to feel whole. And here's the final truth. Jung understood. The world needs satisfied people more than it needs successful people. Because satisfied people create from overflow, not deficit. They contribute from wholeness, not wound. They build because they want to, not because they're trying to fill a void. And what they create actually serves the world instead of just serving their ego. So here's your assignment. For the next 24 hours, become a researcher of your own dissatisfaction. Notice every time your mind jumps to what's next instead of being present with what is. Catch yourself performing satisfaction instead of feeling it. Watch yourself scroll through other people's achievements and feel that familiar tightening in your chest. Ask yourself, am I actually here? Because that's where satisfaction lives. Not in the future achievement, not in the next goal, not in finally getting enough external validation to feel okay. Right here, right now. In this moment that you've been too busy to notice because you were chasing the next one. Jung wrote, "Your vision becomes clear only when you look into your heart. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakens." You've been dreaming long enough, chasing satisfaction in achievements that can never deliver it, measuring yourself against standards that were never yours, performing a life instead of living one. The awakening is available, but it requires letting go of the addiction to more. It requires developing the capacity to feel satisfied with what is while still growing toward what could be. It requires becoming someone who can hold the paradox, who can want and have simultaneously, who can pursue and be present, who can achieve without needing achievement. Comment, "My presence is not negotiable," if you're ready to stop chasing and start living. Let's see who's willing to let satisfaction find them instead of spending another decade hunting something that was here all along.